Cold has a way of making everything quiet, the streets, the air, even the thoughts in your head. But on that freezing night, what broke the silence wasn't wind, it was a tiny whimper. The kind that sounds like it's pleading for one more chance to live. Most people walk past stray animals without noticing, not her. The moment she saw the shivering puppy curled in the snow, she didn't hesitate. She scooped it into her gloves and held it against her chest, whispering, "It's okay, I've got you now." She thought she'd saved a life. She thought she'd rescued a helpless little dog on the brink of freezing. But when the vet took one look, her smile disappeared. Because whatever she carried into that clinic wasn't a puppy at all. And she should never have touched it. Before we continue, thank you so much for watching and supporting these stories. It truly means the world. If you enjoy emotional rescues, unexpected twists, and real-life lessons wrapped in mystery, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support helps us bring more stories just like this to you. Alright, let's get back to it. Snow fell in slow, drifting spirals, the kind that blur streetlights and make the world feel smaller, quieter, almost like a fragile snow globe someone forgot to shake. The town was on its third night of heavy frost, the kind of cold that bites through fabric and burns your lungs when you breathe too fast. Stores closed early. Dogs refused to stay outside for more than a minute. Even the wind sounded tired. Claire pulled her scarf tighter around her jaw as she walked home from her late shift at the bakery. She had taken the back streets, a habit more than a preference, and her boots crunched through untouched snow where hardly anyone walked. She liked it that way. The quiet made her thoughts softer. She'd been replaying a conversation with her boss that had left her discouraged. Hours cut again, sales dropping. The town seemed to be shrinking in more ways than one. Rent was climbing while her paycheck slipped in the opposite direction. She didn't know how long she could keep pretending everything was fine. But then a sound she couldn't ignore. A tiny, trembling whine. She stopped mid-step, breath fogging in the cold air. The sound came again, weaker this time, not human, smaller, fragile. She turned her head and scanned the alley running alongside a row of old brick apartments. A single, flickering bulb cast a dim cone of light across a pile of trash bags and a few abandoned crates. Something shifted behind them, something alive. Claire stepped closer. "Hello," she called softly, her voice muffled by the wind. Another whine answered her. She moved quicker now, crunching through the untouched snow, and then she saw it, a tiny creature curled into itself, trembling so violently its whole body shivered like a trapped heartbeat. It was covered in frost, its fur stiff with ice crystals. Snowflakes clung to its eyelashes. Its ears twitched, barely. "Oh my God," Claire whispered. It looked like a puppy, impossibly small, so cold it didn't even try to stand when she approached. Just looked up at her with enormous black eyes, wet and glistening under the frost. Its nose had gone pale. The pads on its tiny paws were red and raw. "How long have you been out here?" she breathed, kneeling down. The little body shook as if the question itself frightened it. Claire didn't think, she just reacted. She pulled off one glove and pressed her warm hand around the tiny creature, lifting it gently. It weighed almost nothing, too light, sickeningly light. She tucked it against her chest, wrapping her coat around it to shield it from the cold. Its head pressed weakly into her collarbone. "I've got you," she murmured, "just hang on." Her breath quickened. She needed warmth, shelter, a vet, anything. She started walking fast, slipping once on black ice but tightening her hold around the fragile animal. Every time she looked down, she felt her throat tighten, the way it shivered, the way its eyes struggled to stay open. No creature, no matter how small, should ever look that defeated. "Stay awake," she whispered, "please." Halfway to her apartment, she paused under a street lamp to check on the tiny thing again. She pulled open her jacket just enough to see its curled form. It blinked at her slowly, too slowly, and let out a faint, breathy sound that split her heart in half. That was when she noticed something. The eyes were different. Not cloudy, not sick, but sharp, too sharp for something so young. They didn't reflect the light the way a normal puppy's would. They drank it in, almost absorbing it. Claire shook the thought away. "You're just scared," she whispered, "and cold will fix that." She rushed the remaining 4 blocks, slipping into her apartment building and climbing the stairs 2 at a time. Inside her apartment, she moved quickly, setting down a blanket near the heater. She unwrapped the tiny creature gently and laid it down. It tried to stand, its legs wobbled beneath it, and then it collapsed again. But it didn't stop looking at her. Its eyes followed her every move. "Poor thing," Claire whispered, brushing a thumb over its tiny forehead. The creature leaned into her hand. Her heart melted. She grabbed her phone instantly and called the nearest emergency vet clinic, the only one open this late during winter storms. "Hi, I found a puppy outside and it's freezing. It's really tiny and it's shaking a lot. I need to bring it in." The receptionist's tone sharpened with concern. "Bring it immediately. Wrap it in warm blankets. Try to keep it awake until you arrive." "I will," Claire said, already scooping the creature back into her arms. "I'm leaving right now." Snow hammered harder against the windows as she locked the apartment door. She braced herself and stepped back into the cold. The wind hit her like a slap, stealing her breath for a moment, but she held the tiny creature tighter and pushed onward. The vet clinic was 6 blocks away, the kind of walk that felt endless in freezing weather. Claire moved quickly, half jogging through the snow, her hair sticking to her face as the wind whipped it around. Every so often she whispered reassurances to the little creature. "You're okay, just a bit further, stay with me." But the more she hurried, the heavier the creature felt, not in weight but in stillness. The trembling had slowed. Its tiny breaths puffed against her chest, shallow and uneven. "Don't you dare give up now," she muttered, voice cracking. "I found you, I'm not losing you." Her boots splashed through slush as she reached the clinic door and shoved her way inside. A blast of warm air hit her, making her skin sting from the temperature shift. A vet tech rushed over. "Ma'am, follow me." Claire handed over the creature reluctantly, watching as they wrapped it in heated towels and hurried it into the exam room. The door swung closed. Claire stood frozen in the waiting room, snow melting off her coat and dripping onto the tile. She realized she was shaking too, not from cold anymore, but from fear. She had no idea how long the creature had been outside, no idea what condition it was in, no idea whether she'd been just moments too late. She sank into a seat and pressed both hands to her face. Minutes crawled by. 5, 10, 20. The wind howled outside, rattling the glass panels of the entrance. Claire stared at the closed exam room door like she could will it open. Finally it did. The vet stepped out, an older woman with tired eyes and a face carved by years of seeing both miracles and heartbreak. Claire stood instantly. Is it okay? Did I get it here in time?" The vet didn't answer right away. Her expression shifted not to sorrow but to something else, something unreadable, something Claire had never seen on a vet's face, confusion and caution. "Ma'am," the vet began carefully, "where exactly did you find this animal?" Claire blinked. "In an alley on 14th Street. Why, is it hurt badly?" The vet exhaled slowly. "It's not a puppy." Claire's stomach dropped. "What?" "Not a dog," the vet repeated, eyes narrowing slightly as if she were choosing each word with extreme care. "Not domesticated, and not something you should have picked up." Claire stared blankly. "What do you mean? It looks like a puppy, it was freezing it." The vet raised a hand gently. "I know what you thought, and you did what any kind heart would do, but you need to understand what you brought in is not a safe animal, not for you, not for anyone." Claire felt the room tilt. "But it's tiny, it's helpless." "No," the vet said, "it only looked helpless." Claire swallowed. "What is it then?" The vet stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Before I tell you, I need you to answer one question. Did it bite you, scratch you? Did it break the skin anywhere?" "No," Claire said quickly. "It was too weak to move, it barely lifted its head." The vet exhaled, relief loosening her shoulders. "Good, that's very good." Claire's anxiety sharpened. "What is going on?" The vet motioned for her to follow. Claire's boots squeaked on the floor as they moved down the hall into the exam room. The tiny creature lay on the metal table, its little body wrapped in a warm towel. A heating pad lay underneath it. A heart monitor beeped steadily. But the creature wasn't shivering anymore. It was staring. Not weakly, not helplessly. Its dark, reflective eyes tracked Claire the moment she stepped inside, unblinking, intent. Its tiny chest rose, but the pattern of its breathing wasn't like a puppy's. Too calm, too steady, too aware. Claire felt something cold coil in her stomach. The vet stood beside her and spoke quietly. "What you brought in is a wild animal species we only see in extreme cases." Claire didn't blink. "What kind?" The vet hesitated, then lifted the edge of the towel slightly, enough to reveal the creature's legs. "Not paws. Claws. Curved, narrow, hooked claws designed for gripping branches or prey. Not soil, not toys, not puppy pads." Claire's breath caught. But it was so small. "Juveniles are," the vet said softly, "and they sometimes look like domestic pets when they're half frozen, but this one isn't from around here." "What do you mean, not from around here?" "Not from the region," the vet clarified. "Not from the state, possibly not from the country." Claire's mouth went dry. Then how? She stopped when the creature lifted its head, slowly, deliberately, and made direct eye contact with her. Not desperate. Not afraid. Studying her. As if remembering her scent. Claire stepped back instinctively. The vet gently placed the towel back over it. "Claire, what you picked up tonight wasn't a lost pet." Claire's pulse pounded. "Then what is it?" The vet folded her arms, choosing her next words carefully. "You rescued a baby, but not the kind you think, and if its mother is anywhere near this town." She paused. "We have a serious problem." For a moment the exam room felt too small, the walls too close, the air too thin. Claire stared at the covered creature on the metal table, her heartbeat thudding loud enough that she wondered if the vet could hear it. "A serious problem," Claire repeated, voice barely above a whisper. "What do you mean, its mother? Wouldn't she be looking for it?" The vet gave her a look that wasn't meant to scare her, but frightened her anyway. "Claire, some wild animals will abandon a weak offspring. That's nature. Cruel but predictable," she said softly. "But there are species, certain species, that do the opposite. They don't abandon the young that fall behind." The vet's eyes darkened. "They hunt for them." Claire felt the cold return, not from winter anymore, but from something buried deeper. "Wait," she said shakily. "Are you telling me the mother could be dangerous?" "I'm telling you," the vet said gently, "that we need to identify what this animal actually is before we make assumptions." She lifted the towel again, carefully inspecting the creature's side. Claire noticed the way the vet's brow tightened, a tiny crease of concern. "There," the vet murmured. Claire leaned slightly, though part of her didn't want to. Running along the creature's ribs beneath the frost-matted fur were faint markings, not wounds, not bruises. Stripes. Not like a tiger's bold black streaks, these were subtle, silvery lines, almost glowing faintly in the clinic's fluorescent light. Too precise to be random. Claire whispered, "Those weren't there earlier." "They were hidden under the frost," the vet said quietly, examining them with gloved fingers. "These patterns, I've only seen them once." Claire swallowed. "Where?" "During a training symposium in Siberia about animals living in extreme cold," the vet said. "They showed photos of juveniles. The adults were," she hesitated, "large, defensive, highly territorial." Claire's palms began to sweat despite the cold. "What did the adults look like?" she asked. The vet didn't answer immediately. She seemed to debate whether telling Claire would help or terrify her. Finally she said, "Enough like wolves to be mistaken for them. Enough unlike wolves to know you should run." The creature shifted suddenly, a small twitch, but the movement made Claire flinch. It lifted its head again, its black eyes glossy under the lights. It didn't whine this time. It chirped. A soft, sharp, bird-like sound, almost a signal. The vet inhaled sharply. "That vocalization, I've heard recordings of it." "What does it mean?" Claire asked, dread tightening through her chest. "It's a location call," the vet whispered. "Juveniles use it when they're separated." Claire's blood ran cold. Separated from what? From the rest of the pack. Claire stepped back again, bumping into the wall. "No," she whispered. No, that can't be right. It was alone. There was nothing else in the alley." The vet looked toward the curtained window, as if expecting to see eyes staring back. "Claire, if the pack is anywhere near town, they've been watching their young. These aren't ordinary animals. They're intelligent, too intelligent. Claire grasped her coat. Then why was it alone? The vet shook her head. That's the part I don't understand. A soft scratching sound came from the table. Both women froze. The creature, still weak, still wrapped in towels, lifted one of its tiny claws and scraped it gently across the metal tray beside it. Not random. Not instinctual. A repeated pattern. Tap, tap, pause, tap. The vet whispered, "That's communication." "It's just trying to stay warm," Claire said weakly, though she didn't believe it. Her voice trembled. "Animals shiver, they twitch. That doesn't mean." Tap. Tap. Pause. Tap. Claire's breath hitched. "That's not shivering," the vet said. The creature's eyes locked on Claire. Its tiny chest rose and fell in slow, controlled breaths, no longer ragged or panicked. It was warming up. Recovering. Too quickly. What do we do?" Claire whispered. "Keep calm," the vet said. "We need wildlife authorities, quietly, before anyone else gets too close." The vet moved toward the phone. As she lifted the receiver, the clinic lights flickered. Just once, but long enough for both women to stiffen. "No," Claire whispered. "Please tell me that was nothing." The vet didn't answer. Her grip on the phone tightened, knuckles white. Another flicker. Claire felt a pulse of cold through the window, colder than the storm outside. A creeping dread slid up her spine. Then, a sound. Not inside the clinic. Not in the hallway. Not from the exam room. Outside. Low. Deep. Resonant. A howl, but not like any dog, wolf, or coyote she had ever heard. There was a haunting intelligence to it, a searching quality. The vet's face drained of color. "That wasn't wind," Claire said shakily. "No," the vet whispered, "that wasn't wind." The creature on the table responded immediately. Its tiny head lifted, its ears perked, and it made a soft answering chirp. Tap, tap, tap. Claire grabbed the vet's arm. "It's calling back." "It's telling them where it is," the vet said, horror creeping into her voice. Another howl echoed through the night, closer this time. The vet moved quickly, covering the creature fully with the towel. "We need to keep it calm. We need to keep it quiet." Claire's voice trembled. "Is that even possible?" The creature wriggled beneath the towel, no longer weak, no longer lethargic. The warming pads had done their job too well. "It's getting stronger," the vet said, "faster than expected." The lights flickered again, this time accompanied by a faint thump from somewhere near the back exit of the clinic. Claire froze. "What was that?" The vet swallowed. "I don't know." Thumping. A heavier sound, a deliberate one. Claire's heart hammered. They wouldn't come this far into town. They're wild animals. "They're mothers," the vet corrected softly, "and you're forgetting something important." She looked directly at Claire. "You touch their young." A chill dripped down Claire's spine. Another thump. Closer. Claire stepped back until her legs hit the cabinet. Her breath came shallow. "We need to hide. We need to call someone. We need." The creature under the towel chirped again, louder this time. The thumping stopped. Silence. Then a low exhale of air right outside the clinic's emergency exit door, like something large was sniffing along the edges. Claire grabbed the vet's shoulder. "We have to move now." The vet nodded, voice shaking. "Take the blanket, don't expose it to cold again, and stay behind me." Claire lifted the wrapped creature, now startlingly warm, and held it firmly. She could feel its small heartbeat against her palms. They moved toward the interior hallway, the vet flicking off lights as they went. Behind them, something brushed against the glass door. Claire didn't look back. They reached the supply room deeper inside the clinic, away from windows, and the vet quietly shut the door. She turned off the last light. Darkness wrapped around them. The creature stirred in Claire's arms, not frightened, but alert. A soft vibration hummed through its tiny chest. Claire whispered, "Please don't make a sound." Then, a scraping noise outside the supply room door. Slow. Deliberate. As if claws, much larger than the tiny ones Claire held, were dragging lightly across tile. The vet's breath hitched. She reached for a tranquilizer gun mounted on the wall. Her hands shook so badly she could barely load the dart. Claire held her breath. The scraping stopped. Silence pressed hard against the door. Then, a single distinct click, as though something pressed down on the door handle. The vet aimed the tranquilizer gun at the door. Claire clutched the creature tighter. The handle turned. Halfway. Stopped. Turned back. Then, footsteps receded, soft but heavy, moving down the hallway. Claire exhaled shakily, tears burning her eyes. "What do we do?" she whispered. "We wait," the vet said, quietly. But the creature in Claire's arms shifted again, and for the first time it made a sound that wasn't a chirp. A soft, throaty growl. Not threatening. Calling. The vet shook her head. No, stop. Too late. Outside the clinic, as if answering the call, something massive howled again. Not distant. Not searching. Right outside. Claire covered the creature tighter, her voice trembling. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I didn't know what it was. I just wanted to help." The vet's voice softened. "You did what any good person would do. You saved a life. You didn't know the cost." Claire shut her eyes. Outside, something brushed slowly along the wall, its shadow passing in front of the thin crack under the door. The creature in Claire's arms lifted its head, pushing against the blanket, sensing its family so close. Claire shook her head desperately. Don't move, please." But instinct was stronger than fear. The creature wriggled, letting out a single piercing chirp. And the entire clinic answered it. A thunderous bang slammed against the outer wall. Claire gasped. The vet raised the tranquilizer gun with trembling hands. And outside in the storm-dark night, more than one voice howled back. Not one mother. Not one pack. More. Many more. Coming. Searching. For the tiny creature Claire had rescued. And for whoever had dared to take it.